and then figure out what's a reasonable balance for you. Again, I could always work more hours and make more money, but at what cost? What it costs to me and what costs to my competence and to my clients. If I'm working at an agency, a hospital, things like that, a different setting where I have to answer to someone else and there are expectations of me, you know, if others, like let's say I work at a college counseling center and I keep getting told that, my productivity needs to increase, I need to see more clients per day and per week. There's a limit to that, and the ethics issue here is at what point am I treating too many people, working too many hours, have too much expected of me because it's negatively impacting my competence, my clinical effectiveness. And, then do we need to push back on that? And I'll talk more about that process. You can't take any action if you're not aware of it and we don't identify it accurately. So at least that's important. Oh, Larissa, thank you so much. You're very kind. Let me see, here's another one. Another person writes, I also worked in foster care for years, and my kids said I was distant, and my wife said I talked and decided, my wife and I talked and decided I needed to make a change. So now I work with developmentally disabled adults, and I'm much more happy. So when we talk about this idea that in our work environments, a culture of self-care, some of it even is like, what are the demands and challenges? Just the bureaucracy, the system, the nature of the work. And obviously, all this work is so important, but we also have to be honest with ourselves. I know I feel this pull, like this work is so important. If I don't do it, what if no one else does? What are we going to do? But at the same time, I have to know my limits. We talk about our professional and our personal identities, that they're not entirely separate, not entirely merged, but integrated, and how all these have to be considered and addressed. And again, I would just say, and we'll pause after this, but this is not about accusing people of things and reporting them and catching them, getting them in trouble. We want to do as much prevention as possible. But the codes of ethics have to set an absolute floor, an ethics floor that you can't fall below, and the need to intervene when it gets to that point. But our hope is to intervene earlier and to help support each other, support colleagues. Again, we have blind spots. We might not notice things. We might think we're fine, inaccurate self-assessment. And so that's why we need our colleagues looking out for us and giving input and support. So this is actually, let me just see if there's any other comments. So we talked about we're each human, we're each in need of assistance and support, and we're each a work in progress. And realistic expectations. I think goals and goal setting are really important. And if you went to grad school, obviously you're goal-oriented, but our goals need to be about us and our actions, because there is no finish line. We don't say, up, I'm there, I've achieved it. Like my goal is to have my life perfectly imbalanced and be perfect at self-care. That's not a goal. A goal can't be about a finish line that you cross. Goals are about our actions. Like my goal is to exercise regularly. What does regularly mean? It's intentionally vague. I don't want to be too specific. My goal is to exercise at this level of intensity for this number of minutes, this number of times a week, and I'll keep a